चलता रहता है. March of feminism, march against sexism. What keeps on happening in this world? I don't get it, honestly. Oh, hi guys, how are you all? So, what's happening? Anything new? Oh, वैसे ना something interesting happened with me. I recently met my friends. I mean, obviously online only because lockdown हो रखा है. But you know what? I asked them a question and their replies actually amazed me. Oh, why don't you also answer that question? A father and a son were going on a drive. On the way, they met an accident and they were rushed to the nearby hospital. The doctor entered the emergency ward and cried out loud, "That's my son?" I mean, how is that possible? Okay.
Because the father was a doctor and he rushed inside to check his son and do the operation.
How is that possible? Well, let me think. The son could have two fathers.
Answer to the question would be the father was the doctor.
And the doctor can be their original parent.
Well, it may be possible as जो doctor हो सकती है, it may be his mother.
Out of so many people, only one was able to give the right answer. The mother was the doctor. Even after contributing so much to the healthcare sector, we still don't associate females as doctors. Why is that? The reason to this is gender stereotype. And this is also what literature has proven, that gender stereotype is deep ingrained in our society and our mindset. So much so that we don't even realize that it exists. So let us examine critically how deeply it is ingrained and why is it ingrained.
So first, let us examine gender stereotype in literacy and sex ratio. The basic definition of literacy is the ability to read and write. But now this is my question to the viewers, that why literacy has become a gender equality issue. It is because literacy is not just about reading and writing. It is often the catalyst that allows women to have input into social and economic decisions that affects their lives. As 2/3 of the world's illiterate population, or 496 million people, are women, the gender gap in literacy rates remain conspicuous. The gap is stubbornly unchanging as gender inequality persists and overall literacy rates improve. In the past 20 years, youth literacy rates have jumped from 83% to 91%, while the number of illiterate youth declined from 170 million to 115 million. Yet the difference between literacy rates for men and women has remained quite stable. For instance, India's gender gap is stark. The country hosts the largest illiterate population and constitutes 1/3 of all illiterate women around the world. There is a 24 percentage point difference between men and women. About 75% of Indian men have at least a basic level of literacy, while only 51% of women are literate. The high rates of illiteracy among Indian women and the corollary gender gap in literacy attainment are attributable to many social, economic, and cultural factors. Even as the benefits of female education are public, including a more productive workforce, lower fertility, and lower infant mortality, the costs such as tuition fees and school supplies, as well as opportunity costs of foregone child labor, are privately borne by the households. This leads to underinvestment in women's schooling. Literacy is a bridge from misery to hope, once said former UN Secretary General Kofi Annan. As a nation, India must aim to conquer the hurdles posed by illiteracy, not only to preserve its economic vigor but also to ensure that every individual has a full range of opportunities for personal fulfillment and participation in society. As India develops into a 21st century knowledge economy, the definition of literacy must evolve to reflect the changing needs of society. Literacy must no longer be confined to the basic foundational skills of reading and writing, but linked to the broader notions of financial, digital, civic, and multicultural literacy. These evolving definitions of literacy must be integrated into the policy discourse to ensure economic progress and social advancement of both individuals, especially women, and the society. Sex ratio is defined as the number of females per thousand males is an important social indicator to measure the extent of prevailing equality between males and females in a society at a given point of time. The SRS report 2018 highlights the declining sex ratio at birth in India that has further got reduced from 906 females per thousand males in 2011 to 899 females per thousand males in 2018. Hence, the sex ratio in India is skewed. Reasons for skewed sex ratio in India. Gender bias. According to information from UNFPA, reasons for female infanticide include anti-female bias, as women are often seen as subservient to men who often employ positions of power. Son preference. In addition, parents believe that they will be better taken care of in their old age by men, as men are perceived as the principal wage earners of the family. Social practices. Parents of girls are usually expected to pay a dowry, which could be a massive expense avoided by raising males. Counter effect of rise in income. Contrary to popular perception, in India, sex ratio at birth declined even as per capita income increased nearly 10 times over the last 65 years, according to India Spend analysis of government data. This could be because rising income, which results in increased literacy, making it easier for families to access sex selective procedures. Major issues related to lower sex ratio at birth. Gender imbalance. According to World Bank, in 2031, India will have 936 females per thousand males, lower than the sex ratio in 1951 of 946 females per thousand males. Distortion in the marriage system. Adverse ratio results in a gross imbalance in the number of men and women and its inevitable impact on marriage systems as well as other harms to women. Way forward, bringing behavioral change, increasing female education and economic prosperity help to improve the ratio. In this pursuit, the government's Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao campaign has achieved remarkable success in bringing behavioral change in the society. Sensitizing youth. There is an urgent need to reach young people for reproductive health education and services as well as to cultivate gender equity norms.
Since ages, domination of men in leadership roles is witnessed. We have seen women as a part of auxiliary leadership roles rather than primary. Hence, now let us critically examine how women and leadership roles are associated to each other.
Under uncontrolled gender pay gap, women earn 82 cents per $1 earned by men, while under controlled gender pay gap, women earn 98 cents for every $1 earned by men. The following list shows the gender pay gap when all compensable factors are controlled. All of these positions show a wage gap wider than $0.98 for the controlled group holistically. Some of the positions with the highest gender pay gap falls into occupations that are traditionally dominated by men or are subject to strong gender norms. The pay gap widens as women progress in their career, with women at the executive level making $0.95 to every dollar a man makes, even when data are controlled. This is an improvement of only $0.01 since last year in the uncontrolled group and no improvement at all in the controlled group. The largest uncontrolled gender pay gap is for those with MBA. Women with MBA take home $0.75 for every dollar men with MBA take home. The gap decreases to $0.97 when we look at the controlled pay gap, suggesting that women and men with MBA have very different job titles and job levels. Women are paid less relative to men for every occupation. Education, training, and library occupation have the second largest uncontrolled pay gap. Despite that, women make up the vast majority of educators. Women in these jobs earn $0.72 for every dollar earned by men, even though 74% of these workers are women.
Now, let's examine the gender stereotype present in advertisements and cartoons. The gender stereotype in the advertisement industry exists since the era of vintage ads. Let it be the ads of beauty products or that of banks. The policy of sexism cells have always been a cash cow. Even today, racial gender biased beauty product ads exists. The role of a homemaker is still associated to women, whereas automobile has always been the man's territory. The age of sexism starts as soon as the child is born. Blue is a man's color. Pink, that's feminine. This is all what we have heard. And the cartoons we watch have always glorified it. Showing man as the protagonist, showing him as a macho man, and females as fragile have always been the norm. This begets bias among children, which hampers their overall growth and understanding of gender. This is how sexism gets ingrained in children and youth. Now let us examine the media portrayal of gender. Now it's time to analyze norms and laws with respect to gender stereotype. By this time, it would be pretty clear that gender stereotype exists. Even UN has stated gender equality as its fifth sustainable development goal. So, we shall join hands together to eradicate this social evil globally. But what is the solution? The solution is you. Yes, you are the solution, because when you start questioning things around you, things change. Things change, you get answers. So start questioning why things are done in a certain way. Start questioning the norms, start questioning the facts, start questioning everything. Because this is what can make an impact. We questioned, we got an answer.